This video is for anybody who is close to my brother Josh and all our family and friends that have stood by us since June 2014 when he was taken from us in such an untimely manner. Anybody who's been following our story knows that the ministry has been investigating the cause of Josh's death and the circumstances surrounding it. He was electrocuted while using a welding machine on a work site in June. The month earlier, he had been seriously shocked by his welding machine, and he had reported it, and he left early that day. The second time around, he wasn't so lucky, and he was electrocuted to death. If you have been following myself or my family on social media, you probably noticed that something was terribly disturbing to us yesterday. Yesterday, my parents went to court to hear the charges that were being presented against the company, and the Ministry of Labor had had a year to investigate his death and the circumstances surrounding it. They were unable to prove 100% that Josh died while using the welding rod, and that it couldn't have been either self-inflicted or an accident. Despite the fact that they are able to prove that the equipment was not being properly maintained, the defense could argue that Josh could have tripped and fallen into the rod, or, it technically could have committed suicide because the accident was unwitnessed. Because of that, they were not able to bring charges against the company resulting in his death. So the company was charged $22,000 for improper maintenance of their equipment. Obviously, this was extremely hard on our family. It doesn't feel like justice has been served. It feels like this company is getting off pretty much scot-free. For me personally, it was never about retribution, but it was about creating a big enough penalty and a big enough deterrent that this company and other companies would think twice before putting money ahead of their workers' safety. And for me, this doesn't feel like that's what's happened. So yesterday we were all very upset, obviously, and it's really difficult because a lot of other emotions come up during this, and it just kind of opens up an old wound, of course. So yesterday, I gave myself time to be upset and to be mad at the world and to talk about how cruel of a place this can be and how unjust it is. And today I've put my workout pants back on, and I'm going to go burn stress the only way that I know how, and that's through a good workout and a good sweat. Never forget that strong is beautiful, guys. The next step from here is a coroner's inquest, and we're supposed to be able to get access to the investigation report at the coroner's inquest, so we're hoping that will answer a lot of the questions that we have, because quite frankly at this point I have more questions than I do answers from this whole thing. The family, at least I feel like we were largely unrepresented during this. It really was the Ministry of Labor versus the company, and we had very little knowledge of anything that was going on, the charges, court dates, or anything until very last minute. So it's been quite an emotional roller coaster ride. What I want to see happen through the coroner's inquest is that laws are changed so that this doesn't happen to another family. So I'm just going to keep moving forward. I'm going to share Josh's story, and I'm going to try and make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else. And I'm thinking about starting to share my story, or Josh's story anyways, at colleges and in trade schools, at least locally here. So that people know their rights and realize that, this isn't a joke, and you aren't invincible, and the company isn't always going to have your best interests at heart, and your life is on the line. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who supported my family, those kids, Jess, myself, throughout this whole journey. It's been a really difficult one for all of us, and I'm hoping that, we can heal more as time moves forward, and that this doesn't leave a huge dark patch over our Christmas this year, because I know that's not what Josh would want. He would want us to move forward, because ultimately being upset and feeling like we have been cheated isn't going to change anything. So I put a deadline on how long I was willing to feel that way, and now I'm going to move forward in a positive manner, because that's what Josh would want. I love you all. Thanks very much.